So, week 11 of the New York Jets season. And just like we drew it up, we got Tyrod Taylor throwing passes to AD Mitchell and Johnny Mechie, wide receivers 1 and 2. Quinnen Williams is on the Cowboys. Sauce Gardner is on the Colts. And hey, Alan Lazard is still on the New York Jets as they lose to the Baltimore Ravens in this one, 23-10. In a game that I actually thought that the offense played a little bit better than them scoring 10 points indicated, but the story was it was just a scrappy Jets team that was undermanned, that committed a couple penalties and had a fumble and ultimately lost to the Baltimore Ravens, who credit to Steve Wilkes. I thought that this was going to be a little bit more of a higher scoring game because Baltimore has had an inconsistent pass defense this year. They can be had for sure. And I thought Lamar was going to put it on Steve Wilkes' unit. I really did. I would have bet the over in this one. And this Jets defense, I'll say this about them since the Dallas game where they really just got embarrassed, and you're like, man, is this team just going to lay down and die? And are we going to get blown out every game the rest of the year? Since that game, the Jets are third in the NFL in DVOA against the run. They're top 5 in yards per carry allowed against the run. The Jets do a couple of things that are unusual for bad teams. They have good pass blocking. Tyrod Taylor was patting the ball all day in the pocket. I don't know if guys were open. I'm going to imagine that there were some opportunities missed because we killed Fields for that. Throw the ball, throw the ball. There was a few throw the damn ball moments with Tyrod. I mean, Fashanu and Armand Membu, it's just like cartoonish. They just vacuum seal the edge rushers. It was another one in this game. So they pass block well and they defend the run well. Usually 2 and 9 teams don't do those two things well. So the Jets are bad in ways that are unique this year. They're not usually bad. Even when Salah's defenses were good, they were always kind of leaky against the run. But the run defense is good. They're physical. They're not a soft defense. They're just not talented. And I think that they're, at least schematically, their blitz packages haven't been great. And they've had some communication breakdowns and they're highly penalized. So they're not good. They're not a good defense by any means. But they're not a bunch of, they're not a bunch of expletives. There's some tough dude. There's some dogs. There's some dogs on the defense. I will give them credit for that. Like guys like A.C. Thomas and Jason Brownlee, Brandon Stevens, they're not perfect players, but they're tough as hell. Like Brandon Stevens I've come to really appreciate Brandon Stevens. Brandon Stevens is an excellent tackling corner. He blows up screen passes all the times. He's always in the box making plays, helping out in the run support. Same with Jarvis Brownlee. So the run defense has been stout. Harrison Phillips been a great pickup. Juwan Briggs is a legitimate, just good starting defensive interior player at this point. I would honestly have to say that. I think Juwan Briggs is a good starting defensive interior player that the Jets got for, what was it, like a 6th, 7th round pick swap. So that's cool. Him and Briggs have been fine. And Sherwood still meh. Tony Adams still like why. I would like to see them maybe just play like a random UDFA over Tony Adams at this point. But Quincy's, since his little quasi benching, his fake whatever 1 series benching, Quincy has started to look like an above average starting linebacker again. I don't know if we'll ever see all pro Quincy where it all kind of clicked for him in a very talented defense under Robert Saleh where he put it all together for that 1 year. That's probably not happening again, but he looked like an above average starting linebacker today. I was definitely I was hoping to see a Will McDonald. I was like, where is Will McDonald? What's going on? Now I know that when you play Lamar, you have to contain rush. So it's a little bit different because you can't, if you do your normal rush package, like you're rushing Jared Goff versus Lamar, he's gonna kill you. Although Lamar looks injured. There was a bunch of plays where I'm like, Lamar's not going to take that and eat that angle and go to the boundary. So Lamar is not 100%, but still he's at 60%. He's still like a top 5 mobile quarterback in the NFL. So I get that part of it, but there were some times where he was holding the ball for quite some time too, and I was waiting for that moment where Will McDonald would strike. Didn't happen in this one. I do think Jermaine ended up with a sack, but Will is just kind of streaky. And then it was just a big penalty to Isaiah Oliver. And past that, the defense really they gave up one long touchdown drive, right? That was it. They gave up one long touchdown drive, whereas like multiple third down conversions, some run plays popped. That was it. You know, that penalty was a killer. The fumble by Brees was a killer, but Brees had a really good game before that. Unfortunately, just trying to make a play. Defense made a good play, is what it is. But yeah, Brees had 4 catches for 75 yards, so he's like their best receiving threat without Garrett in there. And now Brees Hall, his 157 receptions since the start of the 2023 season, and that is tied with Christian McCaffrey for most catches by a running back in that time frame. Pretty crazy because McCaffrey has played like 10 less games because he was injured, and I think the Niners play tomorrow, or maybe you're playing now. They didn't play in the early slate. So yeah, Brees is the definition of a dynamic weapon as a back, and he'll help your young quarterback. He helped out Tyrod Taylor. He statted Tyrod Taylor's stat line, padded it pretty good. And Tyrod did what you would expect Tyrod to do. You know, going to complete 2/3 of his passes, 225 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Made a couple plays with his legs. Right? It's kind of a Tyrod Taylor performance of what you're going to get. Offensive line, awesome. And these receivers like John Mechie can kind of play a little bit, I think. Right? John Mechie gets 6 catches for 65 yards. He's like a chain moving possession receiver, had a touchdown. AD Mitchell had a couple of catches. So Arian Smith Arian Smith kind of exists. It's funny too, because when he got 10 yards on that jet sweep, you knew you were like, all right, Arian, see you in 2 weeks. Like that was his one little chance. And then they send his ass right back to the bench. We're not going to see him for like 3 more weeks. Kind of how it goes with Arian Smith. But you're looking at those couple guys, and I think they're keepers. Are they wide receiver 2s? Probably not. You probably want to do better than both of them as a wide receiver 2, but they're keepers. Like AD Mitchell and John Mechie are NFL receivers. Maybe Mitchell, Mechie, and Arian Smith are your wide receivers 3, 4, and 5. Right? And that'd be cool. And they're making no money, and they're all 24 years, 25 years or younger. Okay. And now you don't have to. Now you only need wide receiver 2. Now start plugging up some holes. That's fine. You know, Briggs, Brownlee, Mitchell, Mechie, like those are players where instead of trying to spend a 4th and 5th round pick on whatever that role is, you just have it crossed off. So those trades have been pretty good. I like John Mechie a lot, and he's a cool story because obviously he had to overcome recovering from cancer, and what's the recovery like? Obviously he's medically cleared to play, but like when are you back to 100% after that? Probably takes years. So the Jets definitely might have something there. And Mitchell, AD Mitchell, and I like that those 2 receivers, they're both different skill sets. Mechie is kind of a Jamison Crowder possession receiver, right? He's gonna have a short A dot, average like 10 yards a catch. Mitchell, though, just moves different. Like Mitchell is all kinds of twitched up. Like when he catches a pass and he starts juking and dancing, like he moves in a way that nobody else on this team moves besides Garrett Wilson. And you need some guys like that. And that's kind of why I understood the Jets going to Tyrod Taylor. It's not because no, they're trying to win games. Did anyone think that Tyrod Taylor was going to give them a better chance to win than Fields against the Ravens? You know, probably not. Like marginally, maybe. But you want to see Mechie and Mitchell and maybe Smith and Mason Taylor. You want to see these guys catch passes. That's you want to see these guys catch passes. That's what I want to see. And AD Mitchell, John Mechie, and Mason Taylor combined for 11 catches. Brees Hall had 4 catches. All right. Get these guys involved in the passing game. Now, the thing that you miss with Fields, which is real, Fields helps your running game even when he's not running the ball, because when they can run out of shotgun and threaten the read option, that changes the way the defense has to play you, and it opens up their run game a lot more, which is why Breece Hall had 2.8 yards per carry today, his lowest of the season of any game where he's had over 10 carries. So you make that trade off. But you make that trade off in saying, hey, at least we can have 225 passing yards and get these young weapons involved. So fine on doing that with Taylor. He'll probably get banged up and then they'll go back to Fields for a game or two. And then maybe we get like a random Brady Cook versus the Saints. You know how it goes with the Jets. Do we win this game with Garrett? Probably not. It does bump the Jets too. This is our standings for now. Here it is, baby. Tankathon. Jets are picking fourth right now. And look, some people say I'm not going to tell you how to be a fan. I will tell you how to be a fan. I will tell you. I'll tell you very explicitly how to be a fan. You root for these young guys to make some catches and do some stuff, and it's nice and it's cool and they're scrappy and it's all good. But do not win another game. Do not win. There's no need to win another game, because here's the reality. I think the Jets are going to want to try and come away with the number one pick this year, by hook or by crook. I think they'll have the number one pick, and they have as much ammo as anybody to do it. And now Cleveland is even behind them. The Raiders should be banished from the NFL. In fact, the Patriots should be disqualified from the postseason because they lost to the Raiders. Losing to the Raiders should count as 10 losses. Therefore, the Pats should lose their playoff spot. I've said this for a long time. Even when the Jets were winless and the Raiders had 2 wins, I'm like, no, the Raiders are worse than the Jets. The Titans and the Raiders are in a tier of ass worse than every other team. And then there's the Jets and the Saints and the Giants and the Browns and all the rest of it. But it's like, how bad do you have to freaking be, man? Like, Cleveland's picking 6th. They're terrible. How bad do you got to be to get this number one pick? But look, am I going to be mad if the Jets win? No, because coaches and players never tried to lose. But bro, just lose and get the number one pick, man. Because I'm looking at these teams' schedules. They're like, the Raiders play the Browns and the Titans, and the Jets play the Saints. So if you lose to the Saints, and the Giants play like Marcus Mariota and JJ McCarthy, and the Giants play the Raiders. So if the Jets lose the rest of their games, they will have at least the second pick, almost assuredly. And if you could somehow get that first pick, if the Titans can somehow beat the Raiders, totally possible. Then you could just take whatever, maybe it's Mendoza or Dante Moore, whatever, Ty Simpson. And then you just got to take them, because you have to ask yourself, like, is beating Tyler Shug worth a first and a third round pick? Because then you're probably trading up. And I think like winning 3 or 4 games just to trade up to take a quarterback is kind of insane. Like, you traded Quinnen Williams for the right to beat Tyler Shug. I just, I don't know. I would organizationally, if I ever became a billionaire and was able to own a team, I would do an obvious tank. I would play Brady Cook. I would say, Garrett, we do not need to see you anywhere near anything shaped like a football until July at a minimum. And I would do a completely unethical and obvious tank job. That's what I would do, man. I would just say, AG, you sit that. Oh, you got a sore knee. Oh, sorry, Jermaine. You know what, Jermaine? You back from an Achilles. You reached your snap count. We didn't keep track of it. You're at your snap count. Jermaine, we'll see you. You have a good rest of your winter too. Happy holidays. We'll see you back at camp. That's what I would do, man. And I wouldn't care, because I don't want to lose out on a first and a third round pick to beat Tyler freaking Shook. But I'm not the owner of the Jets, so we cannot control it, and they're probably going to win another game. I don't think they'll win 2 more. I don't think they'll beat the Falcons, because the Falcons have a defense and the Falcons can force turnovers. So I think Jeff Ulbrich will make pretty light work of Tyrod Taylor and John Mechie and company, but they're probably going to beat the Saints. The Jets are better than the Saints, so they probably got one more win in there. Probably one more. Mechie is a nice 3. Yeah, it's the perfect. I would agree with that. Yeah, the Giants, like, how did you not win that, man? At least the Browns won. But the Titans are right in there. The Giants blew it. And the Saints are just horrific. They're so bad. That's what the Saints are doing. The Saints are pretty much how do you out tank that? It's wild, man. If the Jets can't get Simpson or Moore and Mendoza is off the board, what would be your plan? Okay, so what's the plan if no quarterback? All right. So the people always say trade down, like it's the easiest answer. Obviously, people have to want to come up. I would really want to move back if I could, and then probably take whatever receiver that was like first or second off the board. I just like, dude, Caleb Downs is awesome. Arvell Reese is a stud. I don't know, man. I would like to come away with either a quarterback or something that's going to help the future quarterback with an asset that high. Like a safety in the top 5. Man. Arvell Reese, like those would be the top, like those would be in conversation for the BPA, right? Reese and Downs. I love Makai. I don't know if you could take him this high. I mean, I love Makai Lemon. I don't know if that's too rich for him, but I just think Makai Lemon is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I think I would take Amon-Ra St. Brown with like the 5th overall pick if you could do it, to be honest. But that's just a player that I'm really, really high on. But yeah, probably whatever receiver you like the best, or probably Arvell Reese, who has potential to be a game-wrecking player. And at least with Reese, at least he does have sacks. Like I think he has like 7 sacks or something on the year. I checked a couple days ago. He had like 7 sacks because I am a believer that you want guys who sack the quarterback in college. And I liked Jalen Walker coming out last year. And I think Reese is like a better version of Jalen Walker. So that's cool. Now he's 242 pounds or whatever. So you are having, 2 of your top 3 edge players being 240 pounds, and you can move him all over the field and he's a chess piece. I don't know. I think we finally got the offensive line squared away. Like we grinned and bared it, and we just went tackle and tackle the last 2 first rounds over some damn good weapons. And I would like a weapon. I would like a weapon, but Arvell Reese is probably a better. Like he might be gone though, right? He's probably going to be the first non QB taken. I don't know. So I'd say Arvell Reese or your top receiver. You know who I would definitely take if he made it there with the Colts pick. Who I'm looking at this Colts schedule. I'm not saying I'd bet on it, but dude, the Colts, they're not a lock to make the playoffs. I know they started 8-1. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you who they played. They lose to the Chiefs today. They play the Texans, who have an absolutely demonic defense. And that's a division game. That's going to be tough. They play the Jaguars twice. They could probably split that. Oh, so they play the Texans twice, Jaguars twice, Seahawks, and San Fran. So they'll make the playoffs, but Jacksonville, I think, is one game back of them of their division. Like the Colts are not this. I don't know. I think that wagon is gonna kind of come to a little bit of a skid here with Indy. But with that pick, if he's still there, I would take Kenyon Sadiq and not even think twice about it. Like if you're not going to take a quarterback this year, you trade back if you could, whatever. Even if you move back a few spots and get a third round pick, take Makai Lemon and then take Kenyon Sadiq because teams are playing 12 personnel, 13 personnel as much as often as they ever have. And you could say, you know what, whatever quarterback we get next year, you're going to get Armand Membu and Fashanu as your tackles, Garrett Wilson, Makai Lemon as your receivers, and we're going to live in 12 personnel with Mason Taylor and Kenyon Sadiq. And you got Brees Hall and Isaiah Davis and company back there too. And and there you go. And you have a coordinator in Engstrand who's been doing it coming on his third year. Right? You could do worse than that, I think. Would be my answer to that. I guess. And then our defense will probably suck, but whatever. Feed the Fat Rabbit Super Chat. Appreciate it. Says there is no world in which the Jets do not select a QB with their first round pick and they'll leverage assets to acquire their guy if necessary. Well, I think the world in which that happens is if a team that wants to pick a quarterback, like the world would be pretty easy if there is a scenario which the top 2 to 3 picks are ahead of the Jets and teams that need a quarterback. Like there's still a mathematical possibility where the top 3 picks belong to the Saints, Raiders, and Browns. And then it could go QB, and then the Jets could try and trade, but those teams are going to say, no, we don't want to trade with you unless you give us $1 million. And then the Jets are screwed. But I do agree with you. They'd obviously you'd want to get it the quarterback and sooner than later because unfortunate reality. And who knows? Like what? Obviously, they have a decent amount of job security. Like even if they don't make the playoffs next year, they're probably not going to get fired unless there's another 2-win season or whatever. But a rookie QB is a beacon of hope. And even Giants fans, their team is terrible. Their coach got fired. Their GM should be fired. But they still are like, hey, Jackson Dart might be good. I've watched one Jackson Dart game. He was pretty good. That was like Thursday Night Football 2 months ago. I don't know if he's good, but Giants fans say he's good. And they're kind of excited about that. Like if they didn't have that, if they didn't draft him, oh my God, they would be where we are. Like, but worse because at least we just started over completely. So that, and from an ownership perspective, obviously you want that. Like you want reasons for people to go to games. Because let's be honest, like in the Jets next year, if they like sign Marcus Mariota and they don't draft a quarterback, are you going to go out of your way to go to a Jets game? I don't know. I don't know. If somebody maybe offers you tickets last minute, maybe, but are you going to get on an airplane to go to a Jets game to go see Marcus Mariota? Probably not. Probably not. Would you do it for Mendoza? You might consider it, right? You might consider it. Yeah, Brady. I would play Brady Cook. I would unequivocally make it clear that I do not want any more games, and I would force the NFL's hand to try and prove that I was tanking because I would 100% tank. 100%. Unless you're going to win out. If you're going to win out, and okay, you could sell me on that. What are they now? 2-9, so that's 11. How many games are left? 6? Right? Can I do math? There's 6 games left. There's that many games left? Okay, Falcons, Dolphins, Jags. I forgot we played the Jags. Trevor Lawrence is kind of horrible, huh? But the Jags are pretty good. Yeah, 6 more games. Oh, we play the Patriots and Bills again. Oh my god. Yeah, so if you're gonna tell me we're gonna win out, and we're gonna go beat the Patriots who are playing for a 1 seed, then we're gonna beat the Bills who are like maybe even playing for a playoff spot in that game, and we're gonna finally beat Tua, get that monkey off our back. We're gonna win 6 straight games. We're gonna be 8-9, and it's like holy crap. We're an average team. We have this momentum heading into next year. Yeah, of course, that is better than losing out. But that's not happening. That's not one of our options. Realistically, our options are we going to win 0 more games, 1 more game, or 2 more games? And 1 or 2 more games does nothing for it. It does nothing. I don't care what anyone says. I don't believe you. We did remember when they beat the Commanders because Greg Z made it a million-yard field goal. And I'm glad they did because the Jets wouldn't have taken Drake May. They wouldn't have taken him. And then we'd have to deal with that. Oh my God, we could have had Drake May, but we didn't, and the Patriots do. So thank God that didn't even happen, honestly. But we thought that was a thing for the culture and for next year, and it's make believe. There's no culturing in a 2 to 4 win season. You just grin and bear it. You try and develop your young players and just get a top 2 pick. That is it. That is the plan. That should be the plan. Should be the plan for here on out. Please do not win. I make no bones of this. I know some people try to toe the line because some people get upset. How could you root for them to lose? And I get it. Is a loser's mentality? Yeah, it is. You're right. But it's I don't know what to say, man. Do not win any more games. If it was up to me. Not a single one. We're close to finishing the job. Kirk Cousins could be the bridge quarterback. You know what? Dude, the options are so bleak, man, because first of all, trading like a 3 and a 3 and a 5. I think this is on SNY post game maybe. I think they were talking about trading a 3 and a 5 for Mac Jones. Why? What? Real live draft capital for McCorkle Jones. We're going to fall for the Shanahan thing. Mac Jones would suck ass on the Jets. I don't care. I don't care what the coach is. I don't care because Mason Taylor did a thing once. I don't. Mac, let me just tell you, I know in my soul, this isn't even about football or not. It's not even about stats. It's not about anything. I know in my soul, and I know you know too. We all know. Mac Jones would suck mega booty cheeks on the New York Jets. He just would. So if he was a free agent and you wanted to give him a couple $1 million to like hit some passes in the flat and do a thing, fine. A 3rd and a 5th round pick, which if we're going to have a competent GM, those are valuable pieces. That should be a starter and a role player, ideally. You're going to give that up to rent McCorkle Jones for 1 year, in which maybe you draft a rookie quarterback who takes over for him after 6 games? Kill me now. What? That's crazy. That's insane. That is insane. Trading significant draft capital for Mac Jones would be diabolical. In no way. But the reason why people are talking about trading for McCorkle Jones is because you Google free agents 2026 NFL and you want to put bleach in your eyes. So that's why we're talking about McCorkle Jones, which I still wouldn't do it. No, we cannot do it. And Mac Jones is a scumbag, by the way. And I hate him. So I don't want him on my team. But Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Zach Wilson, Tyrod Taylor, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett. Oh my God. Mitch Trubisky, Case Keenum, Carson Wentz, Gardner Minshew. Yeah, this is horrible. So Kirk Cousins is definitely gonna be on the menu, ladies and gentlemen. Don't know what else to say because that's why I would rather because to me, Mac Jones is not, and I understand he's putting up good stats this year, and you could say, well, if he's having a good year in a good system, then you could just have a good system, and then Mac Jones will be good. But it's different. But it's different because Shanahan is an outlier. Shanahan is a wizard. All right. Brock Purdy had like MVP level stats with him. Jimmy Garoppolo is fourth in NFL history in yards per attempt. I don't know if Brock Purdy or Jimmy Garoppolo are good. Really, I don't. I don't think Mac Jones is good. I think Kyle Shanahan is a wizard, and you have to just look away from whatever the quarterback is doing with him. You cannot acknowledge it. You can't. You just can't. You look at Mac Jones's body of work in the 3 years before he went there. And it's not like he was a traitsy guy who put it together. No, no, I'm not falling. I am not falling for McCorkle Jones. Absolutely not. He is a wet bag of milk, and he can go to hell. Now, Kirk Cousins, on the other hand, would also be terrible, but you're not giving up any draft picks to get him. So Kirk Cousins can be immobile and hit the checkdowns and go through his reads and run an offense just like McCorkle Jones, but you're not giving up picks to get him. So, I mean, he seems pretty dry cleaned and washed as well. Is he better than Tyrod Taylor? Marginally, maybe. So but this is the aisle we're talking about, right? What did Cousins do today? I mean, it was the Saints. I know he threw a long touchdown pass. Kirk Cousins has been destined to be a Jet for so long. 16 of 23, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. That's probably what Tyrod Taylor would do against the Saints. Astonishingly enough, though, Kirk Cousins probably still somehow more durable than Tyrod, though, if you had to bet on it. If you had to bet on one of them making it through like half of a season. Thing is, Tyrod is fine for a bridge. It's just he can't even go through practice without getting on the injury report, right? So maybe if Tyrod finishes this year healthy and it's like, oh, he started 7 games in a row. Maybe you bring him back. Like, I don't know. But still, you'd hope to come away with a rookie because none of the names that we're talking about are you going to really want to watch for a full season, if we're being honest. Then you have a couple of other guys who are under contract who you could trade for, like Davis Mills or Jacoby Brissett. But and Brissett would be the best of all of them. I wish he was a free agent. I've always appreciated Jacoby Brissett. I think he is a low end starter. He's just always been a solid pro. He's a tank of a dude. He can move a little bit. I like Brissett, but he's under contract. And why would the Cardinals or the Texans want to trade those guys? They're very valuable pieces to them. The Texans are 3-0 with Davis Mills as a starter. If they had some horrible backup, maybe they'd be 1-2 and their season would be over. So if you're calling those teams up, they're going to be like, we're going to need like a 3rd round pick. And then we go back to the same conversation of that's just pricey for a 1-year bandit at quarterback to give up a 3rd round pick that should be a starter for you for an entire rookie contract. So that is why the best course of action is to not win any more games. And then you can have your Kirk Cousins play 6 games and then throw in Mendoza, and then we don't got to worry about the Mac Jones of it all. Do you see what winning games could cost you? Because not only you maybe trade up for a quarterback, then you're trading for Mac Jones. Whatever. Can't do it. Bring back Adrian Martinez. Is Adrian Martinez on a roster? Tanner McKee. That's the one. Tanner McKee apparently is amazing. All right. I think he comes in the preseason. He looks like Joe Montana every year. But that one, honestly, though, if I'm going to give up picks, that would be the one I would do it for, just because, like, I know this is stupid, but it's a little bit more unknown. So maybe he could be like an average starter. Where Mac Jones, I put put Tanner McKee with Shanahan. Watch. Matter of fact, put Mendoza with Shanahan. Everyone thinks Mendoza is like mid, not that special. Yeah, put that kid with Kyle Shanahan. He would look like a top 8 quarterback. Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is a backup in LA, if I'm not mistaken. Oh my god, the Bucks are getting obliterated. The Bucks are on fraud watch, I guess. What's going on with Baker? He's 5 of 11 for 22 yards. Oh my, Matt Stafford. Oh, Matt Stafford better win the MVP. Matt Stafford is casually having like a COVID year Rodgers level MVP kind of ridiculous season. 18 of 21 for 205 yards and 3 touchdowns with time to go in the first half. Dude, Matt Stafford is unreal. If he gets another ring, where is he all time? If he gets another ring, he's probably a top 10 quarterback all time. He's obviously already going to the Hall of Fame. But yeah, so Matt Stafford now has 30 touchdowns on the year to 2 picks. That's insane. He is on pace for, look, ESPN tells us he was on pace for 47 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. That would have to be a record for touchdown interception ratio. That's insane. Matt Stafford should win this award unanimously. Rookie QB, Kyle McCord and Tyrod Taylor. Sure. Would you give up a 3 for Purdy and his big contract? If he comes back and finishes the rest of this year healthy and looks good, and the Niners for some reason wanted to do that, yeah, I probably would, because I think he's a competent quarterback and he's still young. But I think they would probably want more than that for him. Mendoza in a trade up or 1 and stick and pick more at 5 or 6 range, cost weighted heavily. Oh, would I rather trade up to 1 or stick and pick and take more? I would stick and pick and take more, because I don't have that much conviction that one of them is way better than the other. So I would just take my chances with more. I mean, everyone says Moore is going back to Oregon, but I'm like, dude, you're gonna be a top 6 pick if you declare, right? Unless I just am, I mean, I don't know. I don't have sources or whatever, so his agent would know. But I, I think he's gonna be a top, probably 6 to 10. I mean, top 6 pick. I really do. So I know that they can make money in college and all that, but just go if you're gonna be a high pick, just go to the draft. Yeah, Drew a lot of these guys, Drew Allard, they go back, like because you think about it, like, okay, maybe I'd be the 6th pick this year. Maybe next year I ball out and I could be the number 1 pick. Now, maybe he has other goals that related to college and all of that, but from a strictly, "Hey, man, go get that rookie contract, go get that signing bonus, go start that clock towards your first big extension." And selfishly, I want more in the draft because you want even if you don't like Dante Moore, you want him in the mix. You want him in the mix because other teams will, and that can leave other, options for the Jets. So I hope Dante Moore declares because at least gives 3 options. Now, my guy Ty Simpson has started his those throws are starting to sail a little bit. That's my one bugaboo with Simpson. I think Mendoza is more consistently accurate than Simpson, but what would you need to see from AD? Maybe we don't need a wide receiver too because we have one. I don't think that's going to I mean, he would have to put up, 6, 7 catches a week without any drops the rest of the way. Um, and even then, I would want to overinvest in that position and just be locked and loaded. So I think Mitchie and Metchell can be a really good 3 and 4, and Smith, I guess, can be a 5 because a 5 is whatever. Who cares? I'd still like to see Smith get some chances, but they clearly like some of the other guys they have better. So it is what it is, right? I mean, and they're not. They would have a more of an incentive to play Smith because they drafted him, but they're just going to Mechie comes in, they're like, he's better. So they're not going to have any allegiance to their draft pick. That's fine. They're playing who they think is better. And I can't argue with them. I mean, Mechie and Mitchell are probably better than Arian Smith, right? That's not like crazy. Now, do I need to see Lazard out there ever again? No. Or Tyler Johnson? Not really. But defense cannot create turnovers. That's why I say Caleb Downs. I mean, yeah, it's fair enough, right? It is. You almost forget it's a possibility when they're on defense. You're not even thinking, oh, we need. Hopefully, we get an interception here. You never even think that anymore. You're thinking, I hope we get a stop. I hope we get a sack. But you never think, oh, I hope we get an interception here. It doesn't even cross your mind. One turnover, and it was in Europe. They have no North American turnovers. What are your thoughts on Carnell Tate? Carnell Tate is an absolute beast. Carnell Tate just catches everything, and his body control and his hands are amazing. Maybe he's not the best separator or route runner in the world yet, but Carnell Tate is awesome. Last time we had two good safeties was with Jamal Adams and Marcus May. Yeah, I mean, there was a year where those are probably the two best players on the team, you could argue. And they drafted him back to back rounds 1 and round 2. Has the team ever gone an entire season without a pick? There's no way. Well, the fewest turnovers ever is 7 in the modern NFL. Was the Niners in like 2016. So they're going to break that. I mean, do you think the Jets are going to get like 6.5 turnovers the last 6 games? Over, under? Under. There's no way. So they're going to set a record for fewest turnovers. Cousins at home is a great opportunity for one. He's going to throw you one. I don't know if they catch it, but he's going to throw you one. Tua will throw you one. But I knew they weren't going to get Lamar. Like, I mean, it doesn't even matter who they play. They just don't pick off the ball. So they're probably going to set a record there. Jets lose out. Does the entire staff come back? Yeah, I think the entire staff. I think once they made those trades with Sauce and Quinnen, I think that I just removed the idea of a one and done because you don't allow them to make that decision if you're not going to bring them back the following year. And Woody has said as much, and they've operated as people with some decent job security. So, yeah, and that's why I don't care about them losing anymore, because the idea of like that is just gone. Like, they're going to be back. They're going to get a chance to pick their own quarterback, and how that goes will decide their success. Who would you replace Wilkes with? Oh, guys that are likely. Oh, Steve Wilkes. Well, I don't know if it's a foregone conclusion that Steve Wilkes gets fired. I thought today, was a stock up day for Wilkes, but dude, if you force if your defense forces, let's say like 2 turnovers the whole year, and you don't get an interception, you almost should be fired. I don't know. I don't know, man. If you force 1 or 2 turnovers the whole year, you should probably just be fired. But I don't know what they'll do with Steve Wilkes, but my number one thought when you say that is if Stefanski doesn't survive Cleveland, I would call up Jim Schwartz, because he's been there, done that, multiple teams, multiple different personnel groups. He's a pro. Jim Schwartz, obviously Cleveland has a very talented defensive line, but he's been good, multiple spots. So I'd call him up. And obviously there's former Jet Jim Leonard, who everyone loves, who is an assistant under Vance Joseph. Obviously they have a good defense if they want to make a promotion there. So that'd be my top 2, I suppose, off the top of my head. Yeah, I mean, Jim Schwartz's resume as a DC is, it's pretty damn solid. Yeah, Schwartz was on the Lions for a long time, and then he wasn't he on just on the Eagles recently? Now I have to know. Does this happen to you when like you just have to know stuff? I wouldn't be able to live in a time without internet. Like, you would just ask your buddy, like, "Oh, I wonder what this thing was," and then you would just go back about your day just never knowing. Yeah, he was the head coach in Detroit. Obviously, that didn't go great, but he's been a defensive coordinator for 7 he's been defensive coordinator for, like, over 15 years, and yeah, he was with Philly 2016 and 2020, Titans senior defensive assistant in 21, and now he's been the Browns DC past couple of years. Yeah, Jim Schwartz can coach up a defense. How does it work? Is Glenn hands off on defense? Is this strictly Wilkes D? Salah was all over his. So maybe someone's asked him. I don't know. Someone's asked him and he probably gave some coach speak answer that doesn't answer anyway. But if I had to guess on how the defense is run, Wilkes calls the plays. Right? Wilkes calls the plays. But obviously Glenn and Wilkes they co-plan the scheme and the week to week game plan of the defense. Right? And you can already tell by some of um their coverage tendencies that Glenn is influential because Wilkes was running way more cover one this year, less recently, but still way more cover one, and the lowest amount of cover six in his career. And that tracks directly with Glenn. Glenn hates cover six. You don't like it. Loves cover one. They both blitz a little bit more than normal. So I think that would be the biggest indicator because, you know, there's only so many different things defenses can do, right? Like your coverage tendencies and how often you blitz, I think are two pretty good or things that, the coordinator has agency over that are obvious. So yeah, it's Glenn is and that's what Wilkes was doing in um San Francisco. Shanahan is an offensive mind, but Shanahan is like, no, this is the kind of defense I want to run. You implement my defense. Right. Which is why Steve Wilkes got fired after the year they went to the Super Bowl because Wilkes had to keep on, or because Shanahan had to take over more of his coaching had to go towards making sure the defensive side of the ball was squared away because he didn't love what Wilkes was doing, and that's why he fired Wilkes, and then they fired the next guy, and now Saleh is back, and he'll probably hang around for a while. Fire Saleh for the defense. Flores is not going to make a lateral move, right? You'd have to promote him. Yeah, Tony Adams sucks. Brees has a fumble problem. Um, I mean, last year he definitely did. I think he had 7 or 8 fumbles last year. This year, I was that maybe his first or his second? So I wouldn't say he has a fumble problem this year necessarily. Some running backs never fumble all year. Yeah, I mean, sure. I got like if he just finishes the year with 2 fumbles, like that's not a big deal considering the volume that he touches the ball, right? I mean, all the running backs who are workhorse backs are going to have 1 or 2 or 3 fumbles over the year, most likely, right? Yeah, let's see. All right. Oh yeah, he fumbled versus the Cowboys. Also in the red zone, unfortunate. But I'll leave it there. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you want to hit the thumbs up on your way out, that'd be cool. And go Jets or lose Jets. But either way, it's fine. You win and then they win, or if they lose, then it's good for the tank. So really there's no real losses the rest of the way.